Hey, what's up and welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions and answer them here in video format. This is my way of making sure that I'm interacting with you. And the first question from today is from Alex, who says, hey, even with the arrest, Jalen Carter is too talented to fall to the second round, right? Yeah, no way, Jalen. I don't like. Here is the caveat. He is being arrested. If I remember correctly, and I'll have to look this up because I'm not completely familiar with his case. I know that it's suspected that he was racing one of his teammates. Well, not his teammates. He was racing a team employee, and that race resulted in an accident from the team employee's car that killed not only that team employee, but one of the players for the University of Georgia. And I think he's been arrested for his part in the altercation. Well, not the altercation, but in the incident, which is he was racing, right? Now, I don't know how far charges are ultimately going to go. I know that it's been reported he's been booked in jail, apparently, over this situation. It is a very serious situation, right? And this is why you should never, I don't understand the allure of it, so I'm not going to act like I do, but like, I don't get why people race. I've been fine driving Ford Focus though. Like, you know, I've never had the like love of cars. So I would not know what would bring somebody to want to race. And honestly, like anytime I've been in a car with somebody, I felt like they was about to race. I'm not doing that. Like I don't play like that. So I can't act like I understand culturally racing a car. I think it's stupid, but that's just how I am about it. I don't understand what would compel somebody to do it, but he raced the car. And now I don't know what they can legally charge him on, especially since the team employee that was one of the team. Well, I don't know ultimately what they can charge him on other than maybe obstruction of justice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even going to try to get into that. All I know is that the person who died in this crash because they were racing, and they made an individual choice to race, as well as Jalen Carter made an individual choice to race. Again, both choices I think are dumb. Nobody should lose their life because of something like that, but you don't make those choices because yes, you could die, but somebody else who didn't even choose to race could die. That's the most important thing, right? Because if your own choices kill you, that's unfortunate. If your choices unintentionally kill somebody else, that's a tragedy. You know what I mean? So that whole situation is weird. I think the team employee was caught was drunk driving too, which led to that. And I think they'll be able to argue that, you know, Jalen Carter may or may not have raced and he will be fined and probably get his license suspended for racing. But he wasn't the reason that car accident happened, because you could point to LaCroix being over the legal limit, but you can also make the argument to rate. Look, I don't know how this is going to shake out legally for him, but it looks like he's probably not going to get any criminal charges. And as long as he doesn't get criminal charges, or as long as NFL teams don't think he's going to get criminal charges, which they have legal departments for this specific thing. I mean, literally, we witnessed the DeShaun Watson thing where once it felt like it was clear that he wasn't going to be charged legally, teams were like, all right, we'll deal with the rest. So he's not going to fall out the top 10, I don't think. Maybe he slides to 20, but like for him to get to the Browns at 40, yeah, that's dreaming. And if he does get to the Browns at 40, that means there's more about this situation that we don't know. And it would be likely that Jalen Carter probably just doesn't get drafted at all if he gets to the second round. That tells me that the legal situation is much more serious than what I know if he gets to the second round. So either way, you're probably not touching Jalen Carter, because if he gets to you, that tells you everything you need to know about that legal situation, and the league don't trust it, and that nobody's probably going to draft him at that point. And they're just going to wait this whole thing out until he gets that cleared up if it looks like it's that serious. But if they don't get the read that it's going to be something that's going to put him in actual jail, they'll draft him, and they'll draft him pretty close to where he probably would have went, because ultimately Jalen Carter is a generational, like, interior defensive tackle prospect. And, you know, as we know in the NFL, wins are the only currency that really talks, for better or worse. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations where it's not really like something you feel good about, but wins are the currency that talks. And as long as people think that Jalen Carter can help their football team win, they will draft him, and they will draft him where they need to draft him to get him on their team. That's just what it is. And the only thing that can affect his ability to help a team win is if he's in jail. And if they think he's going to be in jail, they won't draft him. If they think he's not going to be in jail, they will draft him, and they will probably draft him close to where he was always going to go. Still, don't race. Don't risk your life, kids. Just be careful out there. That's all I want to suggest. Just be careful. You know what I mean? Steve says, should the Browns move Martin Emerson to free safety? No. You can't just move. Like, we learned this lesson with Greg Newsome, but like, we are addicted to asking this question. Like, we can't just move players, man. Like, it's not that simple of a transition. Guys don't just switch from corner to free safety. It's hard to even go from outside corner to inside corner, let alone free safety. It's a whole different position. That's just not going to happen. Players aren't going to want to do it. Coaches don't want to do it. And it doesn't end up making your team any better. Like, it's something you can do on Madden, because Madden is a video game. It's not something you can do in real life. Because in a video game, you're dealing with computer algorithms, and computer algorithms exclusively. In a real life, you're dealing with people, and part of a position change is with people, and people just can't change their football position just because you want them to fit them on the field. That's just not how that's going to work. And I don't even know if Martin Emerson translates to a free safety. And even if he does have the skill set that does translate to a free safety, it doesn't mean he can play it, because there's a whole mental aspect of it. You know, they're going to have to figure that out, but that's not going to be the solution. Gavin says, hey, Q, do you think Alex Wright or Isaiah Thomas can stand up next year opposite of Miles? God, I hope that's not the solution. I hope they're good. I hope Alex Wright is cool and everything. But best case scenario, those two are rotational players. They're not. That should not be the solution for the second pass rusher for Myles Garrett. Now, again, this doesn't have to be as traditional as I think some people are slating it in, where it needs to be another edge guy. Get another premier guy on that defensive line, whether it be an interior guy or an edge guy. I don't really care. It just needs to be another premier guy there. And then I think you'll be fine. But if we're rolling out Myles Garrett and the Funky Bunch next year, then we're going to get funky play. That's what we're going to get, right? Because that's what's been happening, right? We've been rolling out Myles Garrett, and sometimes it's Jadeveon Clowney, and he's Jadeveon. Sometimes it's Myles Garrett and the Funky Bunch. And we all get mad at Myles for not having numbers that we want him to have, even though he puts up pretty good numbers. Really, really, really good. Almost Hall of Fame level numbers. Not the numbers we want, because we want him to break the sack record every year. And this is just going to set him up for failure. No, we can't just keep having it be Myles Garrett and the Funky Bunch. We got to have it be something else. And that's just my opinion on that. The next question comes from Artemis Adams, who says, would you rather have DeShaun Watson under his current deal for the next 3 years, or Justin Fields with his current deal, considering the cap and other factors? Hey, man, you know what I don't care about? If I don't think my quarterback's good, I don't care what my cap space situation is, unless I think I can get a quarterback. So no, I'm not going to downgrade at quarterback. And Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields, I know you guys are Ohio State fans, or some of you guys are Ohio State fans. That's a downgrade, because there is hope that Justin Fields is good. We know Deshaun Watson has been good in the NFL. Like, Justin Fields has promise. Deshaun Watson has like a passing crown. Like, he's done it multiple top 5 seasons in the NFL. So no, don't care. Right. I don't value cap space more than I value having a great quarterback. I don't value the other stuff more than I don't value cap space more than I value having a good quarterback. I would gladly sacrifice cap space to have a great quarterback. And every team in the NFL will, because great quarterbacks don't hit free agency. That's just, there's nothing that I would consider there. And Justin Fields isn't even remotely close enough for me to even consider that. Because like maybe if this were like a rookie year or second year of a player that's like showing Joe Burrow level promise, oh yeah, maybe I might consider it because I'm not really downgrading at quarterback play. But Justin Fields is more of the same of what we had in Cleveland, where there's some promise there, but there's been nothing really done in the NFL there with him. DeShaun Watson has actual accomplishments. I would rather have him. He's still relatively young. I really could care less how much we pay him because I've sat through 22 years of having quarterbacks that nobody wants to pay. 22 seasons. Well, 21 seasons of having quarterbacks that nobody wants to pay. And where has it gotten us? We've had quarterbacks on cheap deals for 21 years. What do we have to show for it? You give me a good answer to that, then I might change my mind. But until you got a good answer for that, the 21 years we have spent with quarterbacks that aren't worth a dime and are cheap really ain't bringing no success. We really didn't win nothing with that. So I'd rather have the good quarterbacks. I'd rather have the quarterbacks where I don't have to worry about turnover. I'd rather have the quarterbacks where I'm not like, hey, is he going to be the guy? I'd rather deal with the expectation being high with Deshaun Watson and the cap number being high with Deshaun Watson because I'd rather have a good quarterback because for 21 years, I've had cheap quarterbacks on this team and I've watched this team achieve a grand total of absolutely nothing. Haven't even had a home playoff game, man. A grand total of nothing. So, yeah, I could care less about better cap space. Let me tell you, especially at the quarterback position. Yeah, we've been talking about cap space for 21 years. Aren't you guys tired of it? Who cares if we have cap space? We've been addicted to cap space for 21 years. It ain't done this team no good. We've had the most cap space in the league multiple times. Have we ever had the most wins in the NFL? Apparently, those two things don't correlate. Ashton, with the next question, says, with the combine ramping up, do you see Browns players trying to fill with the combine ramping up, do you see the Browns trying to fill needs at their picks, or do you see them taking best available? They're probably just going to take best available. Look, the draft's goal isn't to fill needs. The draft's goal is just to get good players. Like, let's boil it down to its most basic need. You just want to get good players. Like, it's such a crapshoot. It is not a guarantee. Well, it's not a crapshoot. Let me rephrase that. It's such a hard thing to do is evaluate players and get Pro Bowl level players that if you feel really good that a player is going to be really good, just draft the really good player. Figure out the rest later. If that player's a fit, if he's not, I just want really good players. I could care less what position there is. If I'm selecting and I'm 80% sure that this player who's a wide receiver is going to be really good, but then I look over and I see a defensive tackle who's in need that I'm like 50% sure that's going to be good, I'm taking the wide receiver. Because I'd rather have a good player than have a player who plays a position just to fill a need when I'm not sure that player is going to be good enough to fill that need sufficiently. You have to just get good players. We can't be thinking about need in the draft. And again, the Browns have drafted for need for 20 years. We're used to this. It's not done much for us. We've walked out the drafts feeling like, hey, man, we done got all our needs. We got 3 defensive tackles. We got 2 wide receivers. We've done this for multiple years in Cleveland, where we walk out and you can't tell us this roster ain't great in June. We feel like we solved all our problems. Then we find out, yeah, we might have drafted 4 defensive tackles, but none of them are good. Didn't actually fill any holes. Didn't actually fill any needs. I'd rather just have good players. If those players are at the position you need, great, draft them. Boom, take it, love it. But if you feel like the good players are not at the position you need, I don't care, draft the good players. Because you want good players in the draft. That's what the draft is for, to replenish you on good players. If those players fit your needs, cool. But free agency is for your needs, because you know if dudes are good in free agency, and the bust rate is much lower in free agency. So you can pick and choose your spots. Much better in free agency for somebody you need to play now. Free agency is for needs. The draft is just to get a bunch of good players. Just draft good players. If you draft good players, everything else will figure itself out. But you need to draft good players. Hopefully, you can draft good players at positions that you are interested at. Hopefully, those two things line up. But if one is overwhelmingly on one side to the other, where you know a player is going to be good and you could take that, you could draft them right here, you just got to take them because you want good players at the end of the day. Because what are general managers judged by at the end of the day? How many all-pro, Pro Bowl, and extension level players have you gotten this franchise? They're not judged by how many positions they drafted and how great we felt about it in June. They're ultimately judged by what those players achieve, and you need to draft players who can achieve a lot, because nobody's going to care if you draft Tyreek Hill and you already don't have a wide receiver need. It's cool. Tyreek Hill's Tyreek Hill. You'll be all right. That's all I'm saying. Just draft good players. I don't know if that came out clearly. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but that's my philosophy. I could care less about need sometimes. Need is important. Need helps you categorize. Need helps you prioritize. But if you feel like a player is a home run to be good, but he might not be necessarily 100% a need, I could care less. Take the good player. Imagine if the Baltimore Ravens decided, yeah, Jonathan Ogden's good, but we need a running back. Imagine if the Baltimore Ravens decided Ray Lewis is really good, man. I love him. But boy, do we need a wide receiver, so we're going to draft this guy. You know what I mean? Just take the good players. Just take them. If a good player's there and you think that player is going to be good, take them. Just take them. I don't care what the justification you have to do for positional need is. Take good players, because ultimately that's what you're judged by. Mike says, here's a scenario. Your GM, Andrew Berry, it's March 15th, and you have cleared up all the cap space you need to add players to the roster. Which players are you calling first for free agency? And that's it for this week's Q&A. Thank you guys for asking these questions. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.